a couple of grad transfers coming over. Bianca Jackson that you can see on the screen. And Cameron Swartz tapping her old pal, Taylor Soule, on the back. Former teammates at Boston College last year. I asked her earlier, did you give your teammates a nice scouting report on Taylor Soule? She said, nope, I'm loyal to the soil. That's my friend, I'll give it to him after. As we are now underway here at McCamish Pavilion. Georgia Tech in the white home jerseys start off with the ball. Cameron Swartz at the top of the key.
Going to be a great matchup here between, an important matchup between Hermosa and Liz Kitley in the middle.
Here you have the Virginia Tech starting five. Not much has changed here. You can see Taylor Soule, who is the newest addition for Virginia Tech. Out of Boston College, and Elizabeth Kitley breaking the program record, scoring record, passing her old teammate Asia Shepard, now sitting at 1888. First miss for Kitley, front rim. As we tee up the Georgia Tech starters as well, Toni Morgan, Cameron Swartz, Bianca Jackson, Kayla Blackshear, and Nerea Hermosa.
Every time down the floor, you're going to see Liz Kitley be involved in the offense, whether it's a screen on the ball or a pass into the post.
Kayla King can't connect on the first three. Virginia Tech coming in, leading the league in threes made. Georgia Tech going without a couple of their players as well, as Inez Naredo, who's missed the last 5 games due to that ankle injury she endured during practice, is still out. We did see her warming up a little bit at shoot around, so hopeful that she'll be able to return. But also Kara Dunn only played 9 minutes against Notre Dame. Has a lower body injury. We're told she's day to day.
So an even shorter bench than normal for Georgia Tech.
Kitley baseline and drops in.
They are so patient. Everybody knows they want to get the ball to Kitley, but they take their time and they execute, and they always take what the defense gives them.
Had 21 points in their previous game. We talked about that thriller against North Carolina in the Open, where she hit the game-winning shot. Morgan off the glass, gets in the ball.
And she's going to have to be aggressive today on offense.
Toni Morgan, the freshman out of Tallahassee, McDonald All-American nominee. Taylor Soule from outside. Cold start from outside for Virginia Tech, currently 0-2. And Hermosa on the board. Now, this is something that is really important for you, because getting her going, especially as of late, is very important for Georgia Tech.
It is, and she can shoot that 15, 17-footer. So Liz Kitley's not necessarily going to come out there unless she starts to hit that on a consistent basis. That's a big advantage for Georgia Tech in the post. Yeah, you see here, she has that skill to shoot that long two. And if she continues to hit that, then Virginia Tech's going to have to make a decision on how they're going to play her.
Got a season-high 14 points versus NC State. She scored double figures the last 2 games. Just trying to see what they can do for her going forward. So right away, we're seeing that defense that was very prevalent in last year's squad from Georgia Tech being applied early on in this ball game.
Yeah, just doing a great job of running what they talked about in the scouting report, paying attention to the personnel.
Hermosa with the ball up top. She's guarded by Kitley. The dish off. Hermosa goes over the left shoulder, rolls right out. So Virginia Tech with the ball. They've had a cold start, shooting 20%. Bounces around and continues to struggle from the field. They are now 1 for 6. Traylor, who is coming off of an impressive game, tried to send it out top to Georgia Amore. And the bucket. So Kayla King will have an opportunity for a 4-point play, as Toni Morgan is assess the foul.
Yeah, just a veteran team that doesn't panic, even though they were a little sloppy there. We don't want fouls on Toni Morgan. I know that's just her first one, but that's something we need to pay attention to because they need her in the game.
Sure, the Hokies like to see Kayla King off to a hot start. She averages about 9 points per game. Last game, she had 4 points. And how about this? 4 points already in this ball game. Virginia Tech is 21-2 when she scores 10 or more points. One possession, right?
And one possession.
Traylor tried to get something off the glass. It's deemed a jump ball. It's actually going to go to the Hokies.
Virginia Tech putting on a little, trying to play against a little token pressure here.
Georgia Amore tried to line it up. Once again, no good. 1 for 5 from distance for the Hokies. Hermosa. Bobbles around a little bit, finds the hands of Georgia Amore. Doesn't have the number, sends it to Traylor, and she has that number.
That's chemistry, that's knowing your teammate.
Kayana Traylor, coming off a game where she had 20 points off the bench, has been so impressive for this squad.
And she's a player that I don't think is talked about enough on Virginia Tech's team. Obviously, you talk about Kitley and Amore, but she is just as important.
It's very interesting, too. Just in her previous game, she had, in the last 6, including that 3, 4, 8, 4, and 6, before that 20-point game. So knowing for Virginia Tech, it's their depth that they have, and she's one of 5 players that has over 1,000 points on this roster. Traylor tries to dial it up again, no good. Cameron Swartz trying to get on the board, sends it up. Morgan coming around the corner, took the bump. There's going to be a foul on the play. That one's going against Aisha Wong Adenas.
Well, when you know your teammates, you're going to look for them. You know where they're best. On the left side, Traylor from Amore, 3 points.
Is your closet cramped and...
McCamish Pavilion, as they were able to recognize its senior class right before the game. Maria Hermosa, Bianca Jackson, and Cameron Swartz. Thought it was a nice touch as well. They honored the team doctor, Dr. Lynette Sells. Been here with them for 16 seasons, and she's retiring in this season, after this season. So giving her her flowers, as well as there's an early turnover for Georgia Tech right out of the gate. Kitley face up, short on the shot. So one thing that you're looking at as far as Virginia Tech, just knowing that they've been on the road for now 5 days, how they're going to handle and come out, their legs, what they look like so far, an early assessment of what they've been able to apply.
Yeah, I think they've been fine. They've missed some shots, but they've had good execution. It's, you know, it's hard when you're on the road. You don't know how much to do things with your players. You don't know if it's too much. Do they need rest? You know, just trying to figure out that piece. It's, on the one hand, it's great because it's all about basketball, right? But on the other hand, do they need something else?
Finishing off the season on the road, as we mentioned, got the win against North Carolina in Chapel Hill, 61-59. That was back on the 23rd, and now Georgia Tech. They did say that they were able to do some team bonding, shopping a little bit, as Cameron Swartz knocks down her first bucket of the ball game.
Yeah, just a great job. Her defender got caught on the screen there, and Kitley didn't come out and not long enough. Swartz doesn't need a whole lot of time or room to get her shot off.
She is the leading scorer for Georgia Tech this season.
You see Hermosa trying to push Kitley out as far as possible. And there is that great footwork. Just patient, taking what the defense gives her off the glass.
That's kicked off the leg of Morgan, so that's another turnover for Georgia Tech. That's going to be their third. Taylor Guyman in the ball game for Virginia Tech. Kayla King baited Morgan on that back door. Amor at the top of the key, and that's just long.
The Hokies only shooting 22% coming out of that timeout. And there is a great mismatch. Blackshear on Deasia Gregg, able to take her from the perimeter.
Blackshear, one of those players that can get hot for Georgia Tech. We mentioned how many players are down right now. The most important one, Kara Dunn, who is really giving them a big boost in their lineup. They'll go without her today. Blackshear, one of those options as Kitley gets back-to-back buckets.
That one-legged fadeaway, she has perfected that.
And I like what you said before the ball game. You said because you work so hard on it in practice, rep after rep. Jackson, top of the key, back iron. There's a foul on the play. And it looks like this one's going to go against Kayla Blackshear. That's her first personal foul as Taylor Soule comes in the ball game for Georgia. Amor. And a couple of substitutions for Georgia Tech as well as Morgan and Hermosa take a seat.
So you'll have Traylor here playing the point guard with Amor on the bench getting some rest.
Alliance Carter in the ball game for Georgia Tech. Kayla King trying once again. Lightning strikes, I guess, because she almost knocked that one down. So she'll step up to the free throw line for three.
Yeah, Swartz helping a little bit too much and not able to get back. She got stuck on the screen there with her old teammate, Taylor Soule.
So that scouting report probably said, can set a mean screen.
Yeah. And that's, you know, when you look at Swartz, when you look at Traylor and Kayla King, like whoever's guarding them is going to have to work really hard because those three players run really hard without the basketball to get open. They have one speed, and it's top speed. And not every player can cut that hard or run the play that hard. They're not sure they're going to get the basketball.
I absolutely agree as we have another substitution. Deasia Gregg checks in for Elizabeth Kitley. The former Yellow Jackets stepping on the floor. It's been her first season here. Then went to Gulf Coast State before Kenny Brooks said, you know what, I see a talent in her and wanted her to be a part of the squad. And it's been just that. Cameron Swartz with a nice lift on her shot.
Again, coming hard off the screen. And Adonai set a great screen there.
Soule working the baseline, a lot of contact underneath, and that's going to be back-to-back fouls for Kayla Blackshear. That's her second.
Yeah, if you're going to chase Swartz, you got to be right up on her when she catches the basketball because she does not need a lot of time. And her teammates know that. They just need to give her a smidge of a second of free space.
So with the two quick fouls for Blackshear, Cameron Harrison checks in the ball game for Georgia Tech. Sophomore out of Memphis, Tennessee. Taylor Soule working away on the inside.
Well, she has improved. She was already pretty good when she was at Boston College, but a little bit more aggressive offensively.
That gives the Hokies an 8-point lead with less than 30 seconds left in this first quarter. Gregg pokes it away. They've got numbers. Taylor Soule, maybe a little bit too much sauce on that pass. And a missed opportunity for the Hokies.
Yeah, and Coach Kenny Brooks is like, why? But you'd rather have them, if there is such a thing as a decent turnover, right? She is looking for the right person. Just need better execution. Just have to clean it up.
They do get the last possession potentially in this quarter. Swartz going at King. And they get the ball back with an amazing defensive effort. You ask how certain players are popping up at this certain time for Virginia Tech. Well, it's plays like that. Taylor Guyman sacrificing her body for that last possession of this quarter.
Yeah, and because of those types of things, she's been getting more playing time the last few games.
That also gives Cameron Swartz her second personal foul. 3 left, Georgia Amore can't connect. Taylor Soule avoids jumping over the scores table, and that will do it for the first quarter. Virginia Tech with the 8-point lead, getting it done. Morgan trying to will her team to a win, but a couple of buckets from King showing why they're third in the ACC.
There are all kinds of products in this world.
Well, I hope it goes past a week, because that's something that we should live by every
Absolutely,
single day.
Absolutely.
Georgia Tech starting off the second quarter with the ball. Couple of Yellow Jackets dealing with some foul trouble, sitting at 2. Kayla Blackshear with 2, as well as Cameron Swartz, who didn't start the second quarter.
Good hustle there by Amore, because it definitely was a mismatch with Harrison with the basketball.
Ashley Owusu checks in for Virginia Tech, as well as that's denied at the rim. And that's going to be called a jump ball between Elizabeth Kitley and Hermosa.
Yeah, they've decided to go one-on-one and not double team here, and Hermosa doing a great job of not fouling and denying Kitley the basket.
Virginia Tech gets it back underneath. Kitley gets it opposite wing and checks it out.
She can score from anywhere around that 15 feet from the basket.
Reigning player of the week, 3-time ACC player of the week, was recognized as the Naismith Trophy player of the week as well. They scored 20 or more points in 5 games. As Bianca Jackson knocks down that shot for the Yellow Jackets. Owusu.
See how they have the 4-out-1 in, just working to get opportunities.
Kitley with a nice rebound is able to collect it and finish. Kitley now with 10 points. Kitley, the only player in double figures, as her team has a 10-point lead. Bianca Jackson, when you're hot, keep going.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the shoot-around today, that she was going to have a big game for Georgia Tech with the players that are out with injury, and you see Swartz having 2 fouls and having to sit out.
Bianca Jackson, one of those players that can just be a little bit streaky, had the 8 points in their previous game, but against Miami and Clemson was held scoreless, still finding that rhythm. Owusu hesitates at the top of the key. Taylor tried to go back door, that's denied. And we'll go back to the Yellow Jackets. So Ashley Owusu, another player for Virginia Tech that was brought in the offseason. Another player that also has over 1,000 points in her career, coming over from Maryland. Missed 10 games due to a broken pinky. Sequentially also had surgery, returned back January 19th, but just trying to find her way with this team.
Yeah, she earlier on in the season, they obviously were a big favorite to do really well, and she was a part of that reason. As you see Taylor Soule, one of the most athletic players in the league, able to score.
Morgan had to collect, short on the shot.
She's driven in there a couple of times and not had many options.
Morgan averaging about 10 points per game, right now sitting at 2. So Virginia Tech doing a good job on the defensive end, containing her. A foul on the Hokies. And that's going to go against Georgia Amore.
There's Taylor Soule just taking the contact and still able to score. She wanted to get better this year. That's why she wanted to come and play at Virginia Tech. And I think offensively she has improved. She wasn't terrible to begin with, but she's definitely improved, has more of a variety of moves and shooting a three-point better, as you see Hermosa there from the perimeter.
So Hermosa now at 6 points. That's above her average on the season. Ashley Owusu, guarded by Won Adanaz. Jackson tried to work it on the inside, finds Morgan, tried to attempt the Euro step and might have connected with Taylor Soule. Slow to get up in the paint. Won Adanaz short on the shot. Quite the sequence on this end for Georgia Tech. You can hear the sideline of Virginia Tech talking about the movement of the basketball. It's Georgia Amor trying to find some offense for her squad and finds it in Kitley.
She has such a variety of post moves, reverse pivot to get open, spin move, posting up, flashing in, shooting the baseline jumper. She can do it all.
Kitley averaging 18 points, sitting at 12 at this point, 6 for 9 from the field. And a great response for Georgia Tech. As Aviance Carter drains the three.
As I said before, Georgia Tech, they're going to be competitive and resilient, so this is not going to be an easy game for Virginia Tech.
Amor finds the lane. A lot of contact underneath. I don't think you can do that. As Bianca Jackson tried to prevent the shot for Kitley and gets the foul. We have a timeout on the floor. They'll step away. We'll do the same. Virginia Tech with the lead.
Patience. Every time she catches the ball, she's going to stop her inside, we're going to spin back and go off the glass. Reverse pivot. Patience once again. Takes what they give her. Nice little one-legged fadeaway. Angel, she is so patient, never in a rush when she gets the basketball because she's trying to figure out what she's going to navigate. Is it going to be one-on-one? Is it going to be double team or what?
And she's not just working on these moves in games. Not a game, but practice.
Yeah. That is something that rep after rep after rep, as you see the three-pointer there by Traylor, it is reflex for her now, and that just comes from getting in the gym and doing it over and over and over again and developing her basketball IQ. But that patience piece, I think, is what makes her so special because so many post players, they're in a rush when they want to make their move.
She's made 6 of the last 8 points before that 3 from Traylor. As Hermosa, a little short on the shot. I was able to take the trip up to Blacksburg and just sit in on a practice with Coach Brooks, walking through a couple of her drills and all footwork, as you mentioned, facing up, how to avoid the contact, how to get to different moves, because she's seen a lot of different defenses in this season as Kayla King can't connect at the top of the key.
Yeah, and she has to know how to create space with a different reverse pivot or the drive, because she's always going to have 1, 2, sometimes 3. And I've seen 4 people around her when she gets a basketball.
Won Adanaz, short. Georgia Tech shooting a little less than 40% as Traylor, you can see her coming.
I'm just laughing because Coach Brooks is calling out a play and she's like, I'm just going to take to the basket.
Well, I thought that was a very interesting conversation we had with them as well. Having one of the smartest teams, he said, I have vets that say, we can run this. Did you see this look here? Different ways on how they use their voice on the floor with one another.
And it creates buy-in and ownership because he actually listens to them.
Jackson with a short shot clock tried to send it out to Won Adanaz. Back iron for Carter.
Virginia Tech doing a great job on the boards. They've only allowed 1 offensive rebound here in this first half.
And also winning the edge in that department, 16-12. Kitley gets it baseline, and you might as well just count that as a 2.
And see, she is constantly moving. She and the guards are constantly moving, so you cannot rest if you're defending them in the half court.
This is the biggest lead for Virginia Tech at 14, taking care of business. actually has the program scoring record. Entered the game with 1,888 points, continues to build on it. She has 14, Georgia Tech has 19.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech, they're such a hard guard because they never stop moving, and you constantly have to move with every pass that they make.
Talked about the balance of this team as well. 5 different scoring leaders, and 6 different times they've had players score 20 or more points. Going back to that Carolina game as well, you mentioned the big 3 for them and how they're able to really apply themselves. Well, Kayana Traylor and Amore accounted for 84% of their offense in that game.
That's unbelievable.
Jackson keeps it in bounds, and that's poked away at the top of the key. Kayla King surveying the land, slows things down. DeAsia Gregg.
You see how Virginia Tech has a much better rhythm to their offense than Georgia Tech.
Still one-on-one with Hermosa. Less than 2 minutes to play in this half. Kitley, turnaround, my goodness.
And so you can't just relax after she gives the ball up because she continues to work to try to repost and get another opportunity, and they look for that.
Not sure what she can't do. When you're looking at the footwork, it's not just what the senior is able to do now. You also start thinking about what she can apply in the WNBA. Swartz with a nice response from deep.
Yeah, you can't be late on that. You can't go under, and you can't half chase. You got to be right on her when she catches the basketball. And to your point, when she gets to the WNBA, there's not going to be a whole bunch of double and triple teams and quadruple teams. She's going to be able to go one-on-one just like this for the most of it.
Bounces around, and a rare miss for Kitley at the top of the key. Talk about those predictions. Our very own M.A. Vopel was able to give her predictions for the WNBA draft, and if it were to stand true for today, says that Atlanta Dream would get that pick at the 8th spot. Very interesting, very fitting that we're in Atlanta right now.
I think they take her. What do you think?
They got a lot to discuss. So 2 players so far in double figures as we're less than a minute to play in this first half. Virginia Tech are just firing on all cylinders. Elizabeth Kitley and Kayana Traylor with those double figures. 16 and 10 respectfully.
Georgia Tech needs to get into a rhythm, change sides of the floor, because whenever they try to just drive straight to the basket, you run into Kitley. Got to create a lane by moving the basketball, taking too much time to get into this.
They're just 5 of 12 in this quarter. Cameron Swartz giving some life to the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, Kayla King just falling asleep there.
That's out of bounds, knocked out of bounds. So Georgia Tech will get the ball back with 1.4.
And if there's one player you don't want to over-rotate and not get back to, it's Cameron Swartz.
We were talking about double figures. Cameron Swartz now joins the chat, and how about Jackson? Almost gets that one to fall. As Georgia Tech was able to go on a 6-0 run over the last minute. They're taking care of business here at home. We'll send it to the studio to Taylor Tannenbaum and Ivory Lotta. I know she's happy about that Carolina win over today. A native not too far up the road. She said she's bringing in 50 people. The grad transfer from Boston College, went to high school at Fellowship Christian. And she said they're neighbors. I didn't even know we're neighbors. That were like, how do we get in the building?
Well,
and they're just excited to see her play today.
Yeah, she said her mom bought 21 season tickets, which was awesome. And you know, she's a kid that can light it up right away.
Hermosa.
Speaking of lighting it up, that is what Hermosa is good at. She's not necessarily going to bang in there with you in the post, but she can create a lot of problems from 15 to 17 feet.
Hermosa now with 6 points.
See, that's an example of giving up a good shot for a better shot. You saw Taylor Soule. She knew that she had her teammate coming off the screen, and Amore, those are her first points of the game.
You talked about how they're able to have this lead without Georgia Amore being able to have her impact on the game in the scoring facet. Tony Morgan, who's been quiet in this ball game, has only taken 2 shots. Swartz, and the bank is open.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to be lucky.
Creating her own banking hours on a Sunday afternoon. Cameron Swartz now with 13 points, 3 triples.
Yeah, she shoots a lot, but she doesn't take terrible shots.
Amor tried to respond, nothing there. Hermosa tips the ball to herself. Bianca Jackson, who was just probably centimeters away from knocking down that half-court shot before the break. Nice take by Morgan. She draws the contact. That's going to go against Elizabeth Kitley.
Well, Swartz just sizing up the defense. Not enough to be there. You got to have your hands up as well.
So 5'9", going at 6'6".
She's still smiling about that going off the glass.
Morgan can't connect. Well, the Nothing But Net crew will be at Greensboro Coliseum again this year for the ACC Women's Basketball Tournament with pre- and post-game shows for every game, plus ACC PM. We'll be there on Tuesday and Wednesday. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. That's right around the corner. We talked about the quick turnaround. The Hokies have the double bye, done their work early as they're in that 3 seed. But for Georgia Tech, their first game is going to come on Tuesday.
So again, resilience is going to be key for them going into the ACC tournament. I cannot believe it's time for that already. That's an example of Cameron Swartz maybe needing to have a little bit more patience as she looks at her coach.
Soul working the baseline, something she's good at, can't connect. Taylor Soul now with 4 points. She's 2 for 6 from the field. There's a miscommunication for the Yellow Jackets. That's their 10th turnover of the ball game.
And Morgan trying to do a little bit too much there. Actually had the layup.
They average about 15 turnovers per game. The tip pass on the inside, blocked. Morgan sends it out to Swartz, finding a home on the wing, and that's why.
Used every bit of the rim there. And in defensive transition, you have to find her because she's going to run to that three-point line, and they are looking for her.
4 threes on the day so far for Swartz. As we mentioned, leading this team in points and about 13 points per game. Today she has 16. Kitley, turn around, short. Taylor Soul takes the bump off the offensive rebound and gets fouled.
Now on the fast break, she is going to run straight to that three-point line, and nobody picks her up. Used every bit of that rim.
Like a cyclone. Shooter's touch. That's tipped away by Hermosa. Virginia Tech will get it back. Georgia Amor trying to get it to Kitley. A lot of contact underneath, nothing called, and Cameron Swartz comes down with the rebound. So doing a little bit of everything for the Yellow Jackets. That's our 3rd board. Morgan, one of the 4 newcomers for Georgia Tech. They have 7 newcomers.
And it's hard to get into a rhythm or find some chemistry in your offense. They're not getting quality shots, with the exception of the shot that Swartz had on the transition. Everything's contested, as you see there.
So Georgia Tech in their last few possessions have gone on a little bit of a drought. Virginia Tech, they're actually on that same drought. They haven't scored in the last 2 minutes. 4 empty possessions for the Hokies. Amor penetrating the defense. And Morgan reaches in and commits the foul.
Amor just so fast going downhill. They're not playing Taylor so all the way out to the three-point line, but she was still able to get by her defender.
All right, well, the Ally ACC Women's Basketball Tournament begins Wednesday at Greensboro Coliseum. With every matchup but the championship game right here on the AC Network and the ESPN app. Our first round coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern with the Nothing But Net crew. We'll see how this has been a very busy but entertaining day in women's basketball. Sunday fun day, as we have all deemed it.
And all games of importance before our game today. Big win for Notre Dame. Unfortunately, Olivia Miles went out with an injury. Hopefully she's going to be okay. And then North Carolina beating Duke at Duke, their first loss at home.
Definitely sending our prayers to Olivia Miles. That's something that's tough, especially after they just lost Ira Mabry as well. So a quick timeout for the floor. Right now, Virginia Tech with the 11-point advantage.
The scene and the atmosphere here, it's certainly starting to build.
The ACC's Committee for Racial and Social Justice, in conjunction with its member institutions, have identified February 18th through the 26th as ACC Unity Week. Virginia Tech with an 11-point lead with less than 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Elizabeth Kitley's having quite the day. 18 points, 8 rebounds, looking for her 52nd double-double, career double-double. Georgia Amor right out of the timeout gets a nice look and drains it. Correction on that, Kayana Traylor.
Whoever's guarding Cameron Swartz, they're going to be tired chasing her around. You've got to be with her all the time, or she's going to get her shot off. You cannot relax when you're guarding her.
Baseline drive by Carter, gets it off the glass and does all but fall down. Traylor quickly gets it to Kitley. Kitley had the steal, gets the bucket.
Virginia Tech has a great understanding of pace and rhythm, and I think Liz Kitley does a great job of her timing on when she ducks in, just at the right moment when the defender is on the top side, and actually Hermosa got away with grabbing her left arm, and she was still able to execute.
Elizabeth Kitley with 20 points. Makes the three-point play. Maybe this performance is going to end up on their podcast that they have, Queens of the Castle, with her and Georgia Amor. Had a nice little lineup.
Yeah,
what do we have to do to get on the podcast?
Yeah, we should ask to be guests. That's right. We gotta.
I feel like we have a lot to offer.
We do. We have a lot to offer.
Less than 10, Cameron Swartz trying to create some magic. It does! The hometown native.
She is the offense for Georgia Tech, and it's mostly off of broken plays. Had that shot off the backboard at the end and had the nice little dipsy-doodle right there.
Cameron Swartz has 18 points. Her season high is 24 versus Clemson.
So they continue to go back to her. She just works and works and works and reposts and finds a way to get past the defender.
This is her 15th game with 20 or more points. And just continues to build on it. What else can Georgia Tech do to prevent her from getting the look she wants off the glass.
Well, the only thing you can do to completely keep her from getting the ball is a double team. The problem is you have shooters on the perimeter for Virginia Tech, so maybe dig down a little bit and give her some pause and try to smack the ball away. They've done that a couple times, but for the most part, you know, they've gone with her one-on-one, and she has basically just destroyed whoever was guarding her. You have, I'm not sure what they had on her that time, I don't know, but she just does such a great job, and this is a credit to the coaching staff, again, teaching timing and pace of the offense, because you got to give Liz Kitley time to make her move to duck in, but she also has to have an understanding of timing and not to go too fast or too soon.
You can see on the side, the proof is in the pudding. Numbers never lie. And coming into this ball game, just being able to be in the top 10 in so many different categories, top 5 actually. As the reigning player of the year, we were talking about who would be that player of the year for this season, and it's hard not to look her direction.
You know, if I'm coaching a young post player, I'm just showing Liz Kitley, like, this is how you do it. These are the fundamentals. If you want to be a great post player, these are the kinds of fundamentals that you need to master.
The other player in that conversation, Olivia Miles from Notre Dame, as we mentioned, her go down with a non-contact injury in their game versus Louisville earlier.
Cameron Swartz trying to put this team on her back here in the second half.
And she has 20 points in this ball game as well. She has the 4 triples that have brought her to this point. Yasia Gregg. Short on the shot, but she's used to these rims in this arena. Played here her freshman season before transferring to a JUCO, and then found her way in her home at Virginia Tech. Carter gets her own rebound, rims around, and finally gets it to fall.
And that's what I meant when I said at the beginning of the broadcast, they've been resilient, but they've been competitive. That was the one thing that I asked Coach. I did a couple of her games, a couple games ago at Florida State. I'm like, what is it that you want to see from your team for the rest of the season? She says, I just want us to be competitive. Obviously, you want to win games, but I want to be competitive, and they have been competitive in every game.
Talk about every game. They're facing their 3rd straight top 25 team. They've actually had a back-to-back stretch with the top 10 teams. FSU, Notre Dame, and now Virginia Tech.
And that's tough on a young team. I think the coaching staff's done a great job of keeping them confident and making sure that they continue to keep them accountable so that they work hard.
You mentioned how Coach Fortner has just talked about the resilience of her team. Not the best start for them. They started ACC play at 0-7. They did have a streak where they had won 3 of their 4 contests in the ACC, but that was the game we had in Miami, and they went on the 4-game losing streak in conference play. So just an up and down season, of course, with the new roster turnover. Losing Latna, and as well as their former reigning defensive player of the year in Lorella Kobai.
Yeah, and just to contrast with Virginia Tech, where you've got all veterans who understand the game, have a high basketball IQ, and have good chemistry together.
Talked about Elizabeth Kitley being a senior for the Hokies. Well, she actually has an opportunity to come back. She has 1 year of eligibility left. So I know a lot of coaches in the ACC are like, what are you going to do?
Graduate. You're going to get drafted in the first round. Go. Nice job. An execution there. Kayla King to get the 3. Yeah, if I'm, Coach Brooks, I'm on pins and needles. Be great to have her back, but obviously he wants what's best for her.
Absolutely. 3 straight games in double figures for Kayla King. That was against NC State, Syracuse, and Florida State. Still finding that rhythm for herself on the offensive end, but you can look in any direction on this roster, and anybody can lead in the scoring department. Less than 20 seconds left here in the 3rd quarter. Virginia Tech has outscored Georgia Tech by 4. Amor steps back, tries to get her own rebound. 3 seconds left on the clock. Carter, she's held up by Soul, and great defense at midcourt to prevent Georgia Tech from getting a nice look before the quarter ends. 3 3 down, 1 to go as Virginia Tech looking to get their 14th win in the ACC. Georgia Tech saying pump the brakes. They got a little bit left in the tank. Standing and waiting in the stands to see who's going to be that team. But I think
turnaround for the teams that are playing in that first round.
But we talked about just the busy day in the ACC today. You already mentioned Notre Dame getting the win by 3 over Louisville. North Carolina giving Duke their first home loss, winning that by 4, and a big upset. Clemson winning 74-61 over Florida State.
That is a big upset. Florida State needed to win out.
Boston College also getting the win over Wake Forest. They were at the bottom of the standings, but one game that stands out to me, NC State, who has been so up and down this season, has fallen out of the top 25 as well. They get the win over Pitt 68-63.
NC State, a dangerous team. They really struggled once Diamond Johnson went out for that injury, and they've, like you said, been up and down, but not a team that you necessarily want to meet in the tournament right now.
A couple of other upsets we've seen, especially in the Big Ten. My goodness, Wisconsin gets the 8-point win over Michigan. They're ranked 12th in the standings. There's none bigger than that shot by Caitlin Clark that beats number 2 Indiana.
That's a kid that lives up to all of the hype.
She is the hype. Traylor tried to see if she could tap it to Soul, and looking at the officials, they're not buying that plea. So
still gonna try to sell it though.
Georgia Tech's gonna get the ball back.
Nice high hedge by Deaza Gregg there.
Swartz right on target, but can't get it to fall. A foul. Actually, it's going to be a travel call against Deaza Gregg. That's going to be the 10th turnover for Virginia Tech.
Concerned look on Kenny Brooks' face. You're up by 16 with 8 minutes to go. He's not really looking at the score. He's looking at the small things that he's thinking about they have to work on before the ACC tournament.
Understanding what they need to do in order to continue in this amazing run they've had in this season, preseason, the highest ranking they've had in ACC play, also in the top 10 standings as well for Virginia Tech. They have 6 net top 25 wins. And we mentioned off the top, looking for their first 14th ACC win, which will be a program best. So a lot of history being made in this season for Kenny Brooks and the Hokies.
I don't think Georgia Amore gets enough credit for how fast she goes downhill with the basketball.
Great defense by Morgan, getting a hand on that shot by Amore.
And stripped by Traylor. She's tried to take it in there several times and has only been successful a couple of times with layups. It's either gotten blocked or she's turned it over or they've taken it away from her.
You mentioned it, Traylor, just such a steady player. Very balanced game, too, as there's a foul assessed on the play.
Yeah, she just, you know, they always talk about Kitley. Certainly you want to talk about Amore, and rightfully so, but that's a young lady that's has a big impact on their win-loss record. Just don't always see it in the scoring column.
But there was no foul on that previous play. Just knocked out of bounds. Hokies get the ball on the sideline in a very precarious location on the floor. Five to work with. Amore, top of the key, drains it.
Not enough to be there. You got to have a hand in the face.
Money Amore from the top of the key. Knocks down her second triple.
You got to make sure that you pay attention. She only needs a little bit of space. She's going to size up the defense and shoot it in your eye.
Helen, I think this is the perfect time to talk about a dynamic duo in Georgia Amor and Elizabeth Kitley.
Yeah, together, 44% of the points for Virginia Tech, and they're second in the league in terms of a duo. They're averaging 33 points as a pair, and only behind Latson and Timpson from Florida State. And they're still able to do that even though people know they're going to do it. I mean, it's just tremendous execution, good chemistry, high basketball IQ.
That one close to being blocked by Georgia Amor. She'll get the foul there. That's going to be her second personal. In today's matchup, they're shooting 56%, or has 56% of their production in this ballgame. All right, well, Tuesday night's doubleheader on ACC Network and the ESPN app starts in Charlottesville at 7 Eastern with number 6 Virginia hosting Clemson. Who could get back on the bubble? Watch where they win. Then Virginia Tech takes on Louisville. All that action will be on the ESPN app and on ACC Network. Talking about duos, I want to go back to another one as there's a turnover by the Hokies. There are 39 active D1 athletes on the women's basketball side that have scored over 1,800 career points. Taylor Soule and Elizabeth Kitley are 2 of those.
Wow.
If you're looking at other pairs, they're 1 of 3. Caitlin Clark with Monica, as well as Oklahoma's Taylor Robertson and Maddie Williams. So you're there in some nice company when you're looking at how they're able to impact this game.
Georgia Tech, it might not seem like a big thing, but they were able to execute and get what they wanted out of that timeout, even though it was 2 free throws. Those little things matter when you're a young team.
Nice take underneath, no good.
I believe that's Kitley's 10th rebound. She'll give her her 52nd double-double.
She also leads the conference in double-doubles as well with 18 on the season. Dish on the inside. Kitley rises up and drains it.
See, just the patience. They were double teaming her. Pass ball back up top, better angle, able to get it to her where she could score.
Just doesn't look phased. So Toni Morgan dominated that possession, finally gets what she wants, the and one there. Georgia Amor picks up the foul. That's gonna be her 3rd.
Just being aggressive. I talked a few games ago about her already coming into college with grown woman strength, able to take the contact and score.
Talked about Toni Morgan, the freshman out of Tallahassee, who has been stellar for the Yellow Jackets in her first season. Karen Swartz, though, leaving the floor a little bit gimpy.
And she tried to play through it. She's been like that the last couple of minutes.
Bianca Jackson checks in the ball game for her. I would put it on repeat, but another deuce for Kitley.
Well, Coach Brooks is not happy because he feels like she got fouled. He talked about that in shoot-around today, where she just gets hit a lot, not a lot of calls, and he's amazed at how she can stay calm with all that, still be able to be patient, do what she needs to do.
And she's just 1 point from dropping 30 points in this ball game. The and one for Traylor. So that's the media for the floor. We're gonna take the same break. We'll be back right after the message. 65-47. Kenny Brooks has to be pleased with how his team has been able to perform, and not the usual performance we've seen from Georgia Amor with 8 points. A slow start for her. However, Elizabeth Kitley has put the team on her back.
Yeah, and part of that impact, though, that Georgia Amore has had, she's got 7 of their 14 assists. But, I mean, that's just, 36 points for the rest of the team. Unbelievable.
Kitley
She thought about it.
Kitley has her season high tonight with 29. She had 28 earlier this season against Wake Forest. You can see all the bodies that she's attracting now. She gets the rebound, close to it, rolls off her leg.
And they've gone to fronting her in the post, not worrying about anything else that's going on around, just face guarding her in the post.
So it took some time, but now we're seeing 3 or 4 bodies being thrown at her underneath. Cameron Swartz, who came out of the half red hot, has 20 points. She knocked down 3 triples in the third quarter. Scoop shot no good. The put back by Carter.
You just watch the offense and how smooth it is for Virginia Tech as they get into it in their secondary offense. You rarely see the basketball stick with them offensively.
Morgan trying to work her way, nothing there. Georgia Amore with a nice box out is able to bring that one in. Has a crossover against Swartz at midcourt, decides to pull it out. The advantage, score and time-wise for Virginia Tech, less than 3 minutes to play. Deja Gregg will check in at the next dead ball for Virginia Tech. Has a lot of contact underneath. Cameron Swartz might have sold it, but that's going to go against Elizabeth Kitley.
Yeah, she extended her arms there. She begs to differ with that call.
So Elizabeth Kitley will take a seat. Not sure if we'll see her back in this ball game. She has 29. Picks up her 52nd double-double of her career. Traylor with the assignment of Cameron Swartz at the top of the key. Swartz. We saw one of those earlier fall for her, but a little bit too much rotation for that one. Traylor with a lot of pressure at the top of the key, turns the ball over. That's the 12th turnover for the Hokies. Carter at the rim and draws the foul.
I just love how hard Georgia Tech continues to compete all the way through this game.
Kayla Blackshear picks up her 4th personal foul. Excuse me, we'll step up to the free throw line. Well, we've seen some amazing fans across the ACC, Helen. I know we've kept up with it, and now we need your help this winter. ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic or take a video, tag it with hashtag #AllTheDevotion, and post it to your social. Just might see it on the ACC Network.
We should do that.
Why haven't we done that? Gotta build a social media, the brand. It's all
That's
about
right.
the brand.
Helen and Angel, the brand.
Might walk away with the NIL deal. Gregg with 10, working the baseline. Almost loses the ball, picks it back up, back iron. So less than 2 minutes to play. Georgia Tech entered this ball game on a 2-game losing streak. I have to talk about how they've been tested throughout the season, obviously with the net and the ACC. Every single night is extremely important, and you have no idea who can walk away with the win.
And that's why hard for a young team to understand that, but they have a quick turnaround, as you see Blackshear here with the 2 points. They, I would assume, would leave tomorrow and practice on Tuesday and play on Wednesday.
No rest for the weary. I'll be able to travel up there and cover this year's tournament. Should be fun. We already seen Charlie Cream, who has not slept.
He's already sent out 3 updates today.
He's predicting 8 teams, now 9 teams that should get in from the ACC. Preseason, he said there would be 8. But how about Syracuse sneaking in as one of those bubble teams?
Coach Legette-Jack doing an outstanding job. Not that I'm surprised that she would get Syracuse back to relevance.
A complete overhaul of the roster for Syracuse. A lot of great stories throughout the season. One of 4 new faces as head coaches in the ACC. As this one is about 30 seconds from being completed. Taylor Soule gets the ball, 8 on the shot clock, rises short. And that should do it. Georgia Amore is able to corral that off of the offensive board. And it's a little bit of history that's being made for Kenny Brooks and the Hokies as they now pick up their 14th ACC win, a program best. Last year they had 13, so the progression that we've seen from this squad is through the roof.
And give Coach Brooks credit. He's been there 7 years, had 7 20-win seasons. Just an outstanding job by him and his coaching staff.
So they moved to 24-4 overall, 14-4 in the season. Georgia Tech drops their last home game